Have you ever heard of the concept of relationships existing for a reason, a season, or a lifetime? It is a profound way to explore the dynamic nature of human connections, offering insights into how relationships fulfill specific purposes or evolve over time. In today's episode, we will discuss individuals who leave a lasting impression on our journey, others who are transient, serving a purpose during a chapter of our lives, and those who endure for a lifetime.
Welcome to Tell Me More and Then Some.
I'm Alina.
And I'm Angeline.
Join us as we dive deep into the topics that fuel our conscious evolution and keep us learning as students of life.
We invite you to come along and share the ride. We hope you're empowered to learn and grow into the best and most authentic version of yourself. We're so happy you're here. Let's go.
Reason-based relationships, which are temporary but purposeful, serve a specific purpose or life lesson. Once the reason is fulfilled, the connection often dissolves. We all have moments when individuals enter our lives seemingly by chance or fate, often at a crossroads, acting as catalysts for transformation. It could be a teacher who guides us, someone who comforts us during difficult times, or even a stranger who leaves us questioning our perspective. Think about that classmate who challenged your ideas, pushing you beyond your comfort zone and leaving you with a new way of thinking.
And then there are season-based relationships, which are relationships that last for specific periods of life, such as during school, work, or certain life stages. Friendships formed during these times, like high school or college, might be fleeting, but they often leave lasting impressions. And these relationships can be intense and meaningful, although often temporary. They're based on shared experiences or proximity. And while these bonds can be deep, life circumstances, shifting priorities, or geographical distance may cause them to fade. However, the memories created during these seasons shape who we are.
And then last, but definitely not least, there are lifetime relationships. And these relationships last a lifetime, where you just continue to grow and evolve with one another. And a select few withstand the test of time, growing deeper with each passing year.
And they're all so special.
They really are. And what I think we'd like to do is just maybe go through some questions and some of our own experiences with friends and relationships that we've had that have lasted a season, or what we perceive as a lifetime, or what is a lifetime. And then friendships that you look back on and you're like, oh, there was a reason why I knew that person. And I love to say that, like, it's easy to connect the dots going backward, but it's really difficult to connect dots going forward. So when I meet someone, I'm like, oh, I really like this person, right? And I think for some, I know for me, sometimes consciously, once I meet someone and I get to know them, and maybe we're seasonal friends, let's say, right? I do feel like I get to a point where I'm like, I can see myself being lifetime friends with this person, or if I meet, do you not?
No. Wait, so you consciously think about it when you're like in a friendship with somebody, whether or not they are going to be seasonal, lifetime.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I like to, and it's funny. I talked to my friend Kinda about this, but like I think it's an extroverted thing where they just dive right into like friendships, perhaps. I don't want to base it on extroverts and introverts, but for me, I know I like to take my time, right? So I meet someone, they're interesting. Let's just give an example. You meet someone at work and you're like, this person's really cool. Like, let's go out for a drink. Let's go to dinner. And I just kind of take my time.
Yeah.
I don't dive right in and like hang out with that person every single weekend. Right. And then after a certain period of time, yeah, absolutely. I think to myself, this person's going to be in my life forever.
Wow, that is interesting. Yeah, I can't say the same. I think this knowing we were going to record this episode was actually when I sat down to reflect, like which friends have I had for a reason, a season, a lifetime. But yeah, I've never consciously thought about it before this. So that's, yeah.
I love that.
I know.
All
Look
right,
at that
girl.
difference. Actually, can I ask you,
Yeah.
how do lifetime friendship or relationships that you have, how have they adapted to changes such as like, growth? We may have personal differences, values. What would you say contributes to that, to the lifetime relationships lasting?
I think for me, I think of, I have friends who have children. They have, their families. I have friends who their focus is their career. Like we're all very complex beings.
Yeah.
We have many layers to us. We have different religions. We have different political beliefs, right? There's so many things that differentiate us. But I think respect is a good foundation, right? Just like understanding and respecting that we are different. We
Yeah.
believe in different things. Even some of our values are different, you know, but I don't know. Like I try to have an open mind because I'm like, I don't want to have friends that are just like me.
No.
Like
you don't want an echo chamber.
That would be so boring.
Nope.
And so I think that mutual respect for one another and the respect of like, okay, well, you're married. You don't want to be married. You're straight. You're gay.
Yeah.
You have this lifestyle. I have this other lifestyle, know. But I think at the foundation, there's that mutual love and respect for one another and this understanding that whatever it is that we believe in or however it is that we evolve in our own journey, we're here for it. We're just like, okay, like that's what you're doing, go for it, right? Instead of being like, oh, well, that's weird. Whatever it is that you choose, I'm okay with it because I'm coming from a place of love and respect and understanding where I'm just like, you do you.
Absolutely.
I
love that is really well said with the mutual respect and love, because I also feel like a lot of times a friendship could feel one-sided even, right? So I would add to this, like if I think about my experience, it's both people putting in effort, having the difficult conversations if you need to, right? Making the effort to see each other, no matter the lifestyle differences that you have, because a lot of times I think lifestyle can get in the way, whether it's becoming a family, having children when you don't, etc. That effort is really what I think also contributes to friendships lasting, mutual effort.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's this concept of like a 4 a.m. friend.
Yes.
Have you heard of that?
Someone said, I listened to a podcast
it's a study
about this.
that was done.
Yes.
And it's like, how many friends do you have that you can call at 4 a.m., right? And like, if you have one friend where you can call them at 4 a.m., you're very lucky.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a crisis.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm watching Love Island.
Which was you last night.
Jeez. So bad.
Glad I had that influence.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
But it could just be, hey, I'm up.
Yeah, you're very lucky if you have that person.
You're very lucky, and so can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
What do you think are the signs that a relationship has served its purpose and is naturally ending?
Yeah, I'm thinking through a seasonal friendship that I have had, and recently that friendship has kind of faded out. I think when you begin to recognize that friendship and the interactions with that friend are no longer fulfilling and perhaps feel a little bit more draining, that is a sign to pay attention to and not forcing it. So I know for this one example, the last couple of years, even, I didn't feel that excitement to spend time with this person or be on the phone with this person. And it was hard because I was holding on. I've known this person for years, over a decade, and we had been very close. So there was a natural lull in us seeing each other or talking to each other about a year or so ago, and neither of us have reached out. And so as hard as it is, I'm seeing that now that I'm reflecting back as that was a seasonal relationship. Perhaps, we may reconnect at some point, but I know in this moment, in this chapter of our lives, it wasn't serving either of us.
And do you think that one of the reasons why you kept holding on was you're like, oh my God, I've put so much time and effort into this.
Yes.
And I'm just, 10 years lost, right?
Yeah. That investment.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've talked to people about this, even, when you're married or you're in a long-term relationship with someone. I've heard so many people say like, and it could be the most toxic relationship. And their reason, when I ask, like, what is the reason? Like, what is this? What are you hanging on to? What is this for?
Right.
Like the number one reason is, well, we've been, what a waste of 7 years of my life. What a waste of 8 years of my life. And I'm like, let's flip that and instead say, there were beautiful moments in those 7 or 8 years. Not all of them were bad. So how about you hang on to the good bits?
Yep.
Remember the good bits. And then don't waste another 7+ years with this person who's toxic, or in your example or circumstance, it's just
no longer fulfilling.
No, that flame is out.
Yes.
And there's no reason for us to be, there's no purpose here.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And
let's call it quits.
Yeah, I also think that people can define that as a failure, right? If you let it go and let it fizzle.
Yeah.
Their marriage is a success because they've been together for 37 years. If I'm miserable in that marriage, that is not a success.
Absolutely not.
Like you said, look at the good bits, the things that you did get out of that beautiful relationship. There were probably beautiful moments in it, but let it go when it's run its course.
But so many people don't do that.
No.
They really just focus on, but I've spent so much of my time. And this idea that if something ends, it was a failure or it was a wasted life. And it's like, no, because there was good in it. There was definitely good in it. And there was a reason or several reasons for that relationship.
Yeah.
And I like to focus on that.
I think that's a great way to look at it. It's kind of like related to the sunk cost fallacy.
Yes, that's exactly. It's so funny. I was thinking that. I'm like, what is that thing called?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
you put in all this time. I can't let it go. When really you cutting it and letting it just have run its course, you're opening space up for that next relationship or whatever, friendship. That really resonates. And I've heard that from folks a lot. Can we get into kind of like a tougher topic?
Yeah.
About friendships? I know friendship loss is something both of us have experienced. And I'm curious if you have a perspective on how can we cope with that grief or that sadness when any of these really important relationships come to an end. I don't think we talk about that enough.
At all.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about this with Paulo on that episode. We're talking about grief, and I was friends with someone for over 30 years. Yeah. And in my mind, this was a lifetime friend. Like, if we both lived to be 80 plus, like, we were both going to be there.
Yeah.
I was positive. And again, this isn't to say that our friendship wasn't bumpy. It was very bumpy. I would say that it was the one friendship that was quite bumpy. And I would have other lifetime friends say to me, why do you let this person get away with so much? And I genuinely have a lot of love for this person. I still do. But I just kind of got tired of some of the toxicity.
Yeah.
And some of the, maybe jealousy, maybe competitiveness. I don't know, just like some unpleasant characteristics.
Yeah.
That I just pushed to the side because I focused on the good stuff, because there was good stuff.
Of course.
Right. And then came the grief. Right.
Yes.
And the other thing is, neither one of us talked about the breakup. Like, that's the other thing in friendships. You don't break up.
Nope.
There's no closure. There's no like, hey, so I want to start being friends with other people. Can we start, being friends with other people? There's no conversation around friendship breakup.
No.
And so there's grief that comes with that loss. It is a big loss.
Yeah.
And I definitely still have moments where I get a little sad and I'm like, wow, like I shared so much with this person. We have so much history together. I thought of this person as my brother.
Wow.
And so I think I'm still grieving, to be honest. It definitely comes in waves.
As grief does.
As grief does. And, you were really sweet a few weeks ago. You were like, hey, I should ask you, like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think we should do more of that. We should check in with our friends who are grieving a relationship or a friend. Because, like, if somebody goes through a divorce, you're constant. I mean, there are divorce parties and support groups and all of the things to support that friend who's going through a divorce, good and or bad. And we just don't do that with friendship breakups.
No, I didn't come to your house with 2 pints of ice cream and sat there and cried with you, right?
Yeah.
It's so different. It's fascinating how honestly, I could even argue that a breakup with a boyfriend could be less impactful than a breakup with a friendship over 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, not to compare pain, but
yeah,
I definitely will pay attention to that more. I think we all need to pay attention to that. When you do lose a friend, that is painful and you are grieving. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. How about societal norms? Can we talk about societal norms a little bit?
Yes.
So, social media has such a presence in our lives. And you go on social media and you see friends going to parties and this, that, and the other. And I think some people can feel a certain way around, I guess, friendships and their own friendships, their own life, their own relationships when they see others, either around them or, on some media platform. And I guess for you, how do societal norms influence that pressure to maintain relationships beyond their natural course?
Yeah, that definitely has influenced me personally. I would say more a few years ago than now because I am more aware of this topic. But I think seeing people on social media or just like cultural expectations, I've never been someone that's had a big group of girlfriends. Like I've always had friends that are separate, kind of like my one-on-one relationships. And seeing that constantly pop up on my feed, etc., has made me feel like, well, what is wrong with me? Like, why don't I have this big group of friends that goes out, etc.? When in reality, that is not what fills my cup, right? I do feel like I had held on. I mean, I've had many friendships that I've lost, some more important than others. I think that has influenced me to maintain friendships that have already run their course. Because I'm like, well, I don't want to be this loser that doesn't have any friends, or I have only 2 or 3.
Girl, if you have 2 or 3, consider yourself
Oh, blessed.
Beyond lucky.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, I think when we're younger, it can influence us a lot more. I think, you know, when there was somebody in my life that said something around dating and how if the guy that she meets doesn't have their social media feed full of friends, that she wouldn't want to date them.
What?
Yeah.
Stop.
And I was mind blown.
No.
Yeah. This is someone in their 20s. So I think it's important to realize the decade that you're in and maybe the maturity level of not having gone through these like evolutions of friendships that can influence that. So it does happen where there is judgment. But I think where I stand firm and confident is that the friends that I do keep in my life, my energy is very limited. And the friends that I do keep in my life, I invest in and fulfill me. And I feel confident in that now. So am I answering the question?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think modern life and societal norms definitely can influence us. Why do you think relationships sometimes fade when we, you know, you mentioned this, transitioning into new phases. So like moving, changing jobs, getting married. Some relationships withstand that and some don't. So do you have a perspective on that?
I mean, from my perspective, I guess I can just think about my lifetime friends. You know, I left Chicago and I moved to LA. I was living there for a while. Then I was living in San Francisco before I moved back to Chicago. And I vividly remember, like, I would have morning coffee with Dora every morning, pretty much, like before I'd go to work.
Morning coffee, like over the phone.
Over the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. So my best friend lived in Chicago. She still lives in Chicago, but lived in Chicago. And then I was living in, you know, LA and San Francisco, but we were so connected. Right. And then, you know, my friend Kinda, so many of my friends, like I would say a handful, we really maintained this long distance friendship. And, you know, I would go back home and visit, they'd come and visit me. But throughout all of this, like we're all going through, like we're having a baby, we're having a career change, we're getting married, we're, you know, like we're all going through life, but we stayed connected. And whether that was through a phone call or visiting one another, we kept that connection. And it's work. I think people really underestimate the work that goes into being a friend.
Yes.
And I remember someone once saying to me, I have no friends. I don't know why I don't have any friends. Like, and I so badly wanted to say to him, because in order to have friends, you need to be a friend.
Yeah.
You know, we ask for friendships and these deep, meaningful connections with people, but it's work.
Yeah.
And if that is what you want, and if that is what you crave, you have to understand that that is what you have to put out.
Right.
Right. And so, I would say that, yeah, it's like, you got to put in the work.
Yes.
Just like anything else, any other relationship or career. Like, I think we prioritize the wrong things sometimes. Right. And I'm guilty of this too. Like, I'll work long days and it's, I don't want to say easier, but it's easier to cancel on a friend than it is to cancel a meeting at work.
Absolutely.
Right. But is that right?
Right.
You know,
like,
should you be not prioritizing your relationships? And so, yeah, I think it's a lot of work.
Absolutely. And like you just said, like having coffee with Dora, it was mutual effort.
Yes.
It's not one-sided.
No.
And I think that might be where things can fade. If you had moved to a different city and somebody doesn't make an effort on the other end,
right,
it can easily fade.
Well said. Or if I'm the only one visiting you and you're never visiting me, you know, or I think of my friend Rachel, she's in Texas and I probably see her at least twice a year, you know, like I'll fly there. She's actually coming here for one of the concerts that I'm going to in a few weeks. And she'll bring her child with her. I mean, you make it work. If there is a will, there truly is a way.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
One thing that just popped up for me is you just said, like, you know, we're busy, we prioritize different things. I also feel it's important to pay attention to when do you have to turn up or be not maybe your authentic self around folks. Those are the relationships that might drain your energy a little bit more. Whereas as me being an introvert, right? When I'm around the friends like you, where I can just be myself, I leave our interactions feeling energized. And I think that motivates me more to put in the effort with you and to maintain this friendship versus other ones where I feel like maybe I'm not being myself 100%. Let me observe that a little bit more and see, is that the relationship for me?
Yeah.
I think that's important to remember.
Oh, well said. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like distinguishing between like that temporary lull and how do I say this? When do you know that it's just a lull in your friendship and like versus the natural end of that friendship?
Yeah. Well, I actually recently went through something like that. If I can share.
Oh yeah, girl.
Yeah, this is one of my best, who is like my sister. And we've known each other since high school and did everything together. We're super close. And then around the time of the pandemic, there was more and more of a lull in our interactions and our friendship. And I remember there were 2 years that went by that we did not talk. And I obviously, it was hard for me. I remember reflecting like, is this the end? It doesn't feel right. I found myself missing our conversations. And about a year ago, I reached out because I felt that gap in my life and I missed her. And so I reached out, we had coffee, and we've bloomed again into a new, we have a new dynamic, but I think we needed to both go through that lull because of certain dynamics that I won't get into. And we're working through it now. And I feel like our friendship actually can be a lot stronger because we've had tough conversations about maybe what wasn't working versus what only was working about our previous evolution of our friendship. So I think all of that to say, when there is a lull, put your ego aside if you do feel that you miss that person and see what happens, not being afraid of, oh my gosh, are they going to want to be my friend again, etc. Pay attention to that and then reach out if you are feeling that gap in your life.
Yeah. And how beautiful that, like, the fact that you were able to have that tough conversation, right? Like, how beautiful that you can be vulnerable enough with one another and be like, look, like, I love you. You love, like, we love one another.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
What happened?
Like, what the heck is going on? Right. And then the other thing too is like, sometimes I have, a friend who kind of drops off and my immediate thought isn't, oh, what did I do wrong? Or is this person mad at me? My immediate thought is this person okay? Like, is she okay? Or is he okay? Like, and I'll reach out and, because again, we talk about this, like a true friend is there to pull you up and push you up, right? Like they're there for you when you're having a hard time, but more importantly, they are there to cheer you on and always, always just be happy for you.
Yes.
Like regardless of what you're going through, I think that's another one. Like I know people who, when they're happy, it's very happy for them to be happy for you.
Yes.
But if they're going through a shit time,
girl,
right?
Yeah.
But I think a true friend is a friend who, regardless of what they're going through, good or bad, can be there for you, good or bad, particularly when shit's going good for you.
Absolutely.
And, but again, you need to be that person in order for your friend to be that person.
Yeah.
Like it's reciprocal.
Why don't we go through some examples of common scenarios with friends and talk about how we manage?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, Alina, let's walk through this scenario. You have a close friend or you've known someone for decades where the relationship has evolved through life stages. And you just know that this connection will last a lifetime. What leads you to believe that this connection will last that lifetime? Because I know you said you're very conscious of that.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear your perspective about how you go about that.
I think I would first think about like, okay, what are the qualities that have sustained the relationship? And I'll give Amy as an example. I met Amy through work. She and I worked for the same company. And like our first date was we had dinner and like, girl, the lights came on after 4 hours.
Oh.
And so then we just kind of hung out every now and again. And I just thought, gosh, she really has some beautiful qualities that I just love in a human being. Right. And so it went through various stages. Like she left the company. We went through career changes. You know, she moved from state to state. She got married. Like I was going through my changes, but we just had, we both made an effort to see one another. And, you know, she's lovely with my mom and my family. Like I know her family. And we continue to grow and adapt together. And regardless of how much time passes and we don't see one another, every time we do see one another, that bond is just, it's really strong and it's still there. And she's one of those people that still mails cards. And we just stay connected. And so for me, I'm just like, this person she's my sister. Like,
yeah,
we will be friends forever. I don't even question it, you know?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
So we talk about relationships coming into our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I think we've given some good examples of like a lifetime, but maybe we could talk about reason and maybe even season for a little bit. So for you, can you think of an example where you're like, gosh, that person came into my life for a reason?
Yeah. Yes. It's all obviously in retrospect, like you said earlier today. About, I don't know how many years ago, 7 years ago or so, I actually started dating somebody, and it was a few months in, and he was moving out of state for a job. I remember feeling devastated, and I knew, you know, this wasn't going to continue, etc. However, throughout the time that we knew each other, he was working with my now boss and knew I was, you know, in the job market trying to find something. And he connected me with my, again, now boss, who we had coffee, and she hired me. And so I will say that I probably grieved that relationship for about a year. I felt so connected to this person, and I was angry about him being taken away. Like, you know, I don't meet people like this often. And as I was going through that process, it was like a light bulb went off. Like, I am still in this job that I'm in at the company that I work for, that I love. And I would never have met my boss had it not been for him. I mean, it's a very explicit and obvious reason that he came into my life. He plopped in and he plopped back out, and bloop, bloop. Yeah, so it was a lovely blip that resulted in something that I'm very grateful for. And you know, I learned a lot more from him as well.
Yeah.
But it's just such a great example of someone coming into your life for a reason. I truly believe that that's why he came.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I'm sure there was a reason that you came into his life.
Yeah.
You may not know what it is, but like, I would sure like to think that there's several people that I have met and befriended where they're like, you know, Alina came into my life for a reason.
Yeah.
However short.
It's a great way to put it.
Right? Like, or even, you know, my friend who, to me, like, okay, it was like we were lifetime friends. Now that we're not friends, I can reflect back, again, connecting the dots back. I can reflect back and say, the reason that we were friends, there's so many, but also I have two amazing friends today that I wouldn't have met had it not been for this person.
Yes.
We wouldn't be friends. And these are people that are very close to me, my dear, dear friends. And so it's just nice to think about us just crossing paths with humans, right? And we're sort of exchanging energies, and we're meant to be,
connected.
Yes.
For that, even if it's a short period of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then with seasonal friends, I always think of like colleagues or high school friends or college friends. But again, like I have lifetime high school friends and definitely college friends. But like I remember being in grad school, and there were a few girls that lived on my floor, and we'd go to the bar and we'd hang out, and I just vividly remember thinking to myself, I will never talk to these people. And I'm not trying to be mean, but like I just knew in my core, and we all lived in different states. And so we were there just temporarily.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, once this is over, we're all going to go back to our, daily routine or whatever. Right. We're going to all go back to our quote unquote lives, and we will never talk again.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. They serve their purpose.
Right.
And I serve my purpose.
And that was the season. And the fact that you were so conscious about it is so interesting to me. And I can resonate with the grad school. I had that group, right, of friends. And I was going through a really hard time with my mom being really sick. So I know that they were a season, but there was a reason I had them, because if I didn't, I don't know how I would have survived those 2 years. So, and now we're no longer in touch, but it's so beautiful to think about. They still left an imprint of some sort on this journey of my life. So
human connection is a beautiful thing. It's essential to our existence.
Yeah, it truly is.
Yeah. We hope this conversation has planted the seeds to help you explore the different ways our relationships can unfold, come to an end, or evolve. And so we like to end our episodes with something that's bringing us joy lately.
Woohoo.
I can go first.
Yes, please.
As I look at this beautiful orange Loewe bag, I got this handbag a few months ago, but it's just this beautiful, vibrant orange.
It's gorgeous.
And I really used it all summer. Like every time I wanted to like pull another handbag, I was like, nope, this is the one.
I don't blame you.
And I'm kind of sad that summer's coming to an end, because I don't know that I'm going to use it so much. I mean, I could definitely use it, but it's really been my summer go-to.
Yeah.
And the color just makes me so happy. It's a great size. And so
it's a beautiful bag.
Thank you.
I remember the first time I saw it, I just, my eyes like widened.
It's
I was
so
like,
happy,
what is this?
Isn't it?
It's a great color. And honestly, I think you can use it all year. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fashion person, but I would use that bag all year. It's gorgeous.
Thank you, babe.
It's a great size.
What is bringing you joy lately?
I actually just, so Andrew and I are upgrading from a queen size bed to a king size bed.
Oh yeah.
Because two people sleeping in the same bed together has been very challenging. And I really don't know if I still believe in it, but sleep divorce is a thing, like people not sleeping in the same room. However, before that stuff, we're trying to do a king size bed, and I'm so excited. We just purchased our mattress. It's supposed to be this amazing mattress, and has all the characteristics that we were looking for. And our bed frame just came in, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited to see this new bed put together.
Woohoo!
And jump into it. So, cause sleep,
some action happening up in that bed. Okay.
And I'm out.
Well, thank you for sharing.
No problem.
Before we sign off, if you've enjoyed this episode and if you like the show in general, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It goes a long way, and it's actually the best way to support our show. And that wraps up season 2.
Oh,
I was like, wait, what season are we in? We're in season 2 of Tell Me More and Then Some.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for being here with us and for all your continued support. It's certainly been an exciting journey for us. We hope you've taken something away from our episodes that has piqued your interest and inspired you to share with others. We'll definitely connect again in season 3. thank you to everyone for all of your support.
Yes, thank you. I can't tell you how much it means when people reach out and say they learned something or we planted a seed about something. And we work really hard, and we're excited that at least it does bring some value to you.
Yeah, well said. I know. Please continue to send us a message. We get some requests for topics that you want to, learn about. So please continue to do that. That's all we've got for you today. See you next time on Tell Me More and Then Some.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review to help us reach more listeners.
To learn more, make sure to follow us on all the socials at More and Then Some Pod.
Join us for new episodes every Wednesday on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Until next time, stay curious, learn more, and talk about it.